All right, welcome back to everybody around the world and to all my subscribers. So this is the second video here in this little mini series I'm going to be doing. Each video I'm going to address in a similar format, tackling one verse in particular for that video. And the main emphasis will be comparing what the original actual biblical text says in the original language text itself, comparing that, which is the real word of God, to what the Trinitarians claim that the verses say. And you'll see in all of these cases that Trinitarians lie, they alter the word of God, they add to it, they take away from it, they twist it, they bastardize it, they adulterate it, they defile it in order to reinforce their concept that Jesus is God so they can further brainwash people. You're not allowed to alter the word of God. In my Romans 9:5 video, I read through Deuteronomy 4, I read through Revelation 22 and Matthew 5, where God and Jesus both say that you are not allowed to add to the word, you're not allowed to take away from it, you're not allowed to tinker with it whatsoever. And if you do, you're going to be in severe trouble, even cut off and banned from the heavens. So severe punishments, and obvious. I mean, this is common sense. I mean, God gave us the word. Who would be so foolish as to alter it, right? And again, just to reinforce, the danger is that with Trinitarianism being this massive global cult that has taken over virtually all of Christianity with 2.3, 2.4 billion Trinitarians on the planet, becomes ever more pertinent that the Trinitarians, learn their grave error. Okay, so in this video here, we're looking at Hebrews 1 verse 8. This is another one of the classic example verses that Trinitarians use, because they only have about half a dozen or so in the whole Bible where they think there is a verse that says that Jesus is God. They'll say it refers to Jesus as God or identifies Jesus as God. There's only about half a dozen or so of these verses that Trinitarians could even use, and they are the ones that they do use. They are the classic key example verses. So this is another one, and I'm going to be tackling each of those verses in each of the videos in my little mini series here. So Hebrews 1:8. This is a verse where they will say that Trinitarians will say that, oh, here's a verse that refers to Jesus as God. So when you listen to the Trinitarian teaching on this, and even their own altered Bibles will say this because they alter the word of God. So the Trinitarian teaching is that Hebrews 1:8 says, quote, but of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. But the key part is, quote, but of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever. So if this is all you had been told or read or learned as an individual, as a Trinitarian, you have to, I can't blame you if that's what you were taught. But the reality is that's not the truth. We're going to look at what the original language text actually says, what the original biblical text says. And it doesn't say that. Trinitarians alter. They've altered this verse. They altered Romans 9:5, like I just showed in my prior video. And they altered the rest of the verses that are in this little lineup of about half a dozen verses. And ironically, they are the best verses they feel to prove that Jesus was God. So their best verses lineup is only about half a dozen verses. And all of them, I believe offhand, all of them involve manipulating and altering what the word of God actually says in order to achieve their desired outcome. That's so dangerous. Okay, so they claim it says, but of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. Like I said, you can't blame someone if they're taught that's what it says, that, oh, well, that they might think, oh, well, Jesus is being referred to directly or indirectly as God here. Couldn't blame me for saying that. But the problem is, go look at what the original says. Right? The original does not say of. They changed the word. You're not allowed to change the word of God. I've got the original Greek right here. So I'll read it in Greek first. Not that I can pronounce it, but I'll read the Greek, and then I'll read the direct English rendering from it. Okay? Well, I'll read the English first, right? It says, and unto the Son. It doesn't say an of the Son. It says an unto the Son. Those are two totally different things. Of the Son could lead one to feel that it's implying Jesus is being referred to as God. This is a great revelation. Jesus is actually God. Hey, right? But it doesn't say of. It says, and unto the Son. Quote, thy throne, O God, is to the age of the age. So for us, and I got something ironic to point out afterwards, but let's look at the Greek. Does the Greek actually contain the word that means unto, or does it contain the word that means of? Right? A Trinitarian will tell you the verse says of the Son, but the Greek says the following: de, pros, ho, huios, su, thronos, theos, eis, aeon, rhabdos, euthetes, ho, rhabdos, su, basilia. And the direct English rendering of that is, but unto the Son. So the word unto in the Greek is the word pros, P-R-O-S. If we go look up the definition of the term, does it include the word of? Could it be used for of? No, it means to the advantage of, at, near, by, to, towards, with regard to. So it's not the word of in any of its definitions. Okay? So if we go back to the direct English rendering, I'll read that. But unto the Son, and it doesn't actually say in Greek, he saith. That's another example, as I covered in my Romans 9:5 video. Commonly, even across the board, words are implied, but they're not in the text. And then to differentiate it, a trustworthy Bible, such as the original translation, or if you're reading the actual original text itself in the original language, you will see these words that don't truly exist in the text, but are logically implied in brackets. Okay? And in all fairness, unless you're 1,000,000% sure that those words are the ones correctly that should be implied, you shouldn't really factor those into the theological understanding, because those words aren't present in the text. But starting again, just educating some people, right? But unto the Son, he saith, in brackets, because it doesn't say that, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. So the original language text says unto. It doesn't say of. So right then and there, the Trinitarians alter the verse to make it look like Jesus is God. Now, that's a terrible breaking of the first commandment. They'll get in a whole heap of trouble for believing that, and especially for teaching that. But I mentioned I had something ironic to point out. What a lot of Trinitarians don't know, maybe their ministers and leaders do, because they're a little bit more savvy to the game. But the reality is that Hebrews 1:8 is actually quoting the book of Psalms here. It's not, a lot of the average random person might just think, oh, this is something that's being said to Jesus and Jesus is God, right? They'll just think it's like the whole package right there. No. This is actually a quote to Psalm 45. So somebody, one of the subjects who is speaking in this verse, is quoting Psalm 45 unto Jesus, because that's what the verse says is happening. It says, and unto the Son, thy throne, O God, is to the age of the age. So this statement, which is a quoting of Psalms 45, is being said unto Jesus. Unto Jesus. And again, remember, the key issue here is that it does not say of the Son. It says unto the Son. That's the key issue. But the irony here is that it's quoting Psalm 45. So let's go read the verse from there. In Psalm 45, it's verse 6. It says, thy throne, O God, is age during and forever. So Psalm 45 is just a verse about God. Like, you could read Psalm 45 till the cows come home. You would have no logical reason to think that it is revealing that Jesus is God. Of course not, because it's just saying, God, your throne is forever. So in Hebrews 1:8, what is actually occurring is that the subject speaking is quoting and speaking that verse from Psalm 45, which says that God's throne is forever. And they're saying, they're quoting that unto the Son. They're not saying it of the Son. They're quoting the Bible. That's like if I read a Bible verse to you. That's what's happening here. If I just did quote Hebrews 45 verse whatever it was. I did just speak it and quote it. And I said it unto you. Correct? So unto Bob, I quote that verse, and I just did. Does that mean that Bob is God? No. I'm saying it unto Bob. That is why the original language text says it's being said unto the Son, not of the Son. Okay? So just another great example of how Trinitarians have to manipulate and bastardize and alter the Word of God in order to even begin trying to back up their lies and their apostasy. But anyways, God bless you all. Everybody, take care.